Hello and welcome to my talk on hunting bumblebees at the Mad River Gorge just outside of Springfield, Ohio on the 19th of June 2024. If you watched a previous talk on Buck Creek, then you'll recognize a slide that Springfield is located not far from the Indiana border. Uh, it sits just on top of I-70 between Columbus and Indianapolis. We're going to zoom in. So here's a Google Maps satellite image showing the area where I was on the 19th. There's two areas. This pink dashed line that is off on the top right is kind of the southwest corner of Springfield. You can see I-70 just to the south. Springfield runs down right to I-70, overlaps in a few spots. So very accessible off of the interstate. And we're going to look at two places. First, let's go far west here. You'll see that circle to the far west. This is the George Rogers Clark Park. It's a Clark County park facility. I did not have a lot of luck here photographing bumblebees. I did get one or two half-decent pictures. I am going to not include that in this talk, but in the next posting, which will be in 2 weeks, you will see a video of common eastern bumblebee on wild rose from the 19th of June 2024. So that'll be the next posting. It's just a short video of how these bees go crazy collecting pollen on wild rose. It's amazing. What I want to do now is focus on the eastern circle, the one on the right, which is the Mad River Gorge and Nature Preserve. So let's take a look close up at that. So here we are along the Mad River. It's a forested expanse that runs along the river for quite a distance. And the circle, the red dot that you see in the middle is the parking area. The parking area on Google Maps, they show the road here. It's not as extensive as that. Just to the left of that red dot, you will see a parking area. And then above it, you'll see a hedgerow and a grassy area, and that leads you down to the Mad River Gorge. And so that's where you should park. Be careful, there's a lot of glass. When I went in there was glass here and there, so be careful you're parking if you do go here. But at any rate, you'll see this Highway 333, which is the Dayton Springfield Road, and it's just off of that. And for this little section runs roughly parallel with the Mad River Gorge. So find that parking lot and then head down, head up to the north, I guess, to the gorge. So what I did is I hiked down the trail till I hit the bridge abutment, and then I went back to the west, probably up to about where the curve in the river is, and back, and that's what we're going to look at. So finally the arrow shows up that shows you that hedgerow. This hedgerow will come into play in just a few slides. I'll talk about it again. Okay, so the Mad River Gorge and Nature Preserve, as I mentioned, is a Clark County park. And this park, the state of Ohio awarded it the first place award in Natural Resource and Conservation category in 2017. And again, it's a Clark County Park District. So reading from the National Trail Park and Recreation Districts with the information from Clark County Parks, here's what they write about the Mad River Gorge and Nature Preserve. And I quote, this is, quote, 91 acres of natural beauty encompassing a main hiking trail along an old railroad, access to the Mad River, natural dolomite cliffs reaching heights of up to 50 feet for rock climbing, and a beautiful streamside forest teeming with native wildflowers and ideal birdwatching opportunities. So there you have it. And here in this image, you can see the dolomite in the gorge. So I was on the south side accessing. I don't know what the north side of the gorge looks like, but on the south side, um, the image on the left-hand side, if you look closely, you'll see a climber in the middle. I had his permission to take a photograph. I hollowed over and asked if it was okay. He has somebody helping him down below, holding a belay line or whatever that proper term is. And you can see it's pretty lush in here. It's dominated by eastern deciduous forest, and the river would be kind of off to my left in the left-hand side, and in the right-hand side picture showing a shorter dolomite cliff, it would be behind me. So this gives you kind of what it looks like, and there are gaps here and there, but it's pretty heavily shaded in spots. A lot of the understory is pretty lush. There is jewelweed, or let's see, what's the Latin name for jewelweed? I believe it's an impatient. And other insect life, as you can see here, this is a damselfly. Dragonflies, the wings are straight out. Damselfly, they fold their wings up behind them. And so these are in there. Very beautiful. It's hard to see this, but kind of the black wings, and it's a blue, almost a translucent blue color. There was also stinging nettles, so beds of that. So definitely a damp environment. Here on the left, you can see some of those impatiens or touch-me-nots that are, or jewelweed is the other name, that were growing. And right where this log is, between the jewelweed and the log, there was an opening where there was a bee colony or a bee nest that had a colony in it. I was not able to properly identify the shrub on the right. But anyway, I took this photograph to show you kind of what some of the understory looks like. And this is on the towards the dolomite cliff, as opposed to towards the river. It was actually a little more lush and thick. So I did see a few bees, but there were a limited amount of flowers, except maybe on the jewelweed as I went down towards the bridge, towards the east. So going back to the west, there's an opening where it looked like power line might pass. So there was this large opening, and where that opening was a lot more flowers. And that's where I was able to find a good concentration of bumblebees. And here in this, if I properly identified this, this is wild hydrangea. It's native to the Northeast, and excuse the ringing. And so anyway, this hydrangea can take everything from full sun to partial shade. Obviously, the more sun, the more flowers. It prefers rich, moist soils. It's a small to medium-sized multi-stem shrub, deciduous shrub. In other words, it drops its leaves, and can be up to 2 meters or 3 to 5 feet in height. Again, native to the Northeast. And this, again, is where I saw a number of pollinators. So here, what you're looking at and what you saw in the previous image is Bombus griseocolus, the brown-belted bumblebee, that was definitely on these flowers in fairly decent numbers. So here you can see the pollen sacs are just packed with pollen from this brown-belted bee. You can see another bee here also feeding. Now, where that hedgerow was when I was leaving, I was able to find 2 different species, one which I could not identify, but the other was the brown-belted bumblebee, and they were on this vetch. I don't know if the vetch was planted. I suspected it was a conservation plant, but I don't know that for sure. At any rate, there you have it. A lot, mostly down in the gorge on the hydrangea. I didn't see anything other than brown-belted bumblebee. And here you can see it up on the vetch. The other species that I saw, I just did not have good enough photography that enabled me to identify it properly. And so with that, I'll say thank you and remind you that my next posting will be of a common eastern bumblebee that is collecting pollen like crazy. This is the 19th of June, 2024, and the next video will be from the site where George Rogers Clark, the county park, is. Okay, well, thanks for your interest and hope to see you again.